Let me paint a picture for you. I'm 20 years old. I'm driving in Jutland on the roads in a silver gray Mitsubishi Shogun, full of toys, working for my dad's company. We are selling wooden toys, but also Lego, Playmobil, etc. to kindergartens and schools. I'm a little bit late for the meeting, just a few minutes, but I'm starting to tense up. And suddenly 2 words enter my consciousness. And pure love. I hear that voice, pure love. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that God spoke to me. It's also not like in the Truman Show where you hear from loudspeakers in the sky. But it is very different than a thought process. It is like it's given to me, like it comes from a deep place within me. And I honestly don't know what to do with these 2 words. And I also a little bit puzzled about why they're in English. My whole language at the time was, all language around me was Danish. I have to put it to a side because I am running a little bit late for that meeting and I need to sell something. We all know it's good to be on time for a sales meeting. So I forget about it for now and continue going. And actually at that time in my life, it was really not all about pure love. Not at all. We were fighting to make ends meet. We were struggling. Every month we had to sell a lot and collect a lot of money in order to be able to pay the salaries at the end of the month. So my experience of life was definitely not pure love. Much more that it was all about money. And so it went. Month after month, the struggle to sell more. Sustainability was definitely not a consideration at the time. Not for ourselves, not for our employees, and not for the planet either. At 23, after 10 years working in my dad's company in the family business, and also after 5 attempts of my own, where I attempted to set up a company but failed making it sustainable financially, I was getting to a place of feeling burned out. I had a pause for a few months, and then I decided to go to business school because my dream was to become wealthy, to become successful. That was what I was been led to believe was the goal of life. And long gone were the words pure love. And sure enough, at that business school, all the professors, all the books and articles, all my fellow students, when we did assignments and papers, all we talked about was how to make money. We were reading cases about Siemens and Coca-Cola, Procter & Gamble, etc., how they, through clever marketing strategies and human resource tactics, had found ways to increase profitability. There was no focus on sustainability at the time. When I graduated, I went to work for a big management consultancy company, McKinsey, and clients hired us to come out to them and help them make more money. And through clever analysis, and actually also quite cynical analysis, we would find ways to optimize their company so that they could make more money, increase the bottom line, their profitability. I know it's changed since then, but at the time, sustainability was definitely not an agenda. Not for the people working there in the consultancy, not for the employees out in the client companies, and definitely not for the planet either. It seemed to me as that if we were to sum it all up in one sentence, my work experience up till that point, it would sound like what the famous economist Milton Friedman said, 1970. The business of business is business. You probably heard that sentence before. And granted, there is some benefit to that. It has allowed business to focus on one single goal, It has made wealth for a lot of people, material wealth. It has worked to some extent for a while. However, it is also becoming clear to us that long term, it will not work. For one obvious reason, there is no business on a dead planet. There's not even any jobs on a dead planet. There's no joy, no love, no life. And that is definitely the direction we are going in. You might then say that maybe we chose to not worry about the future, have fun as long as it can last. But no, that's not the case. Gallup has surveyed us globally for decades, and their numbers show that in these years, we are more stressed, burnout, and depressed than ever before. And this goes for our children and teenagers too. And if we're not stressed and depressed, then we are most likely disengaged in our work, the work we do, the most of our waking hours. 85% across the world of the workforce are disengaged or actively disengaged in their work. Actively disengaged meaning that they actually sabotage their own work and workplace because they resent it so much. Statistically, there will be quite a few of you in here. And this actually means that 85% of us would not show up to work tomorrow if we did not have to. To me, that's a great tragedy. Or at the very least, a gigantic missed opportunity. And by this point, we really need a savior, right? We desperately need a savior to this story, to the human story. Who will be our savior? We are told repeatedly that technology will save us. But I do have a problem with that logic. Because we have more technology now than ever before. That's pretty obvious to us. And at the same time, we've just seen that we have bigger problems than ever before. So how can we say that technology in itself will save us? Technology is intentionless. Until we invent some very clever AI, and perhaps we shouldn't, until that day, technology has no intention. Humans have intention. So if we look at an old technology, as an example, look at a knife. Is a knife good or bad? If I use it to cut fruit, that's clearly a good thing. If I stab someone with it, it's a whole different story. So technology shouldn't be our savior. We need to look for another savior. And I have a suggestion. How about that we save us? We are the ones that created this mess to begin with. So we can and should fix it. But where do we start? Where should we put our focus? There seems to be so many problems out there that it can be overwhelming. An inner journey is the solution, or at least the start to a solution, to the outer problems. We cannot solve a problem out there without changing something in here. Imagine if, like by magic, we woke up tomorrow and all the rivers had been cleaned overnight. All the ocean were clean. The atmosphere was clean again. Someone had put up all the trees again. It was amazing. Imagine that had happened. And what do you think we would see if we looked at it again 10, 20, 30 years later? We would have polluted it all over again. If we don't change something in here, in us, we are going to produce the same outer result again and again. We need to evolve our consciousness. We heard that many times. What does consciousness mean? As I was sitting with that question, those two words came back to me, pure love. And I thought, wow, what we need to do is to fall in love. Fall in love with nature. Because when we love nature, we won't hurt her. Just automatically, we don't even need to think about it. And I say again, because we've been there before. All of us have been children at some point. All children love nature. You can see it when they see a tree, when they touch the grass. They love it. Love even the rain. Love the snow. Love animals. That's been us It is us. We've just forgotten about it. So we want to fall in love again. Love is a higher state of consciousness. You might think that I'm using love in a different way than you normally would, and maybe in a casual way. What I'm talking about here is love as a state of being. We are used to maybe using love in the sense of romantic love that we have with our spouse, hopefully, or biologic love, which we have for our children, our parents, hopefully. But that is, as amazing as it is, attached and dependent on another person. I'm talking about love as a state of being, as a feeling inside, independently of what is going on outside and how other people behave and if they please you or displease you. Love as a state of being, which is an available choice to all of us. In this very moment, we can either feel love, feel a state of loving awareness, or not. It's a moment-to-moment choice. And here comes a radical idea. Maybe even an idea worth spreading. What if our businesses could operate out of a state of love, of loving awareness, of taking care of people, of caring for the planet? Dare we imagine such a future? And there are actually examples already out there in the world today. Maybe some of you know some of these examples. They are rare and far between, but they do exist. And they work really well, also financially. We do just need a different operating system for business, a new paradigm, a new purpose for business. Very different from what Milton Friedman said 50 years ago. And that's okay. 50 years is a long time. It's time to upgrade our OS, just like we would upgrade our operating system on our phone or our laptop. Now it's time to upgrade our operating system for business. Exciting times. And I suggest that the purpose for business can be to take care of people, to care for the planet, and to produce prosperity for all stakeholders involved in the value creation. And I actually suggest that we stop talking so much about profit like that. We know all that people, planet, profit. But what I noticed in the business world that I've been part of for so long is that when you let profit in the room, it's a little bit like that rude uncle at the family dinner who came a bit early to the party and he started drinking. And now he's drunk. And he's very confident. He feels entitled. And he dominates the conversation. This is what happens again and again at board meetings, executive meetings, that profit dominates over people and planet. Language is important. So how about we change the language to give space to a new concept, prosperity. Prosperity is healthy. We want our companies, our businesses to prosper, which includes profit, of course, but also go much beyond that. And it's also long-term, not only profit next quarter. How do we get there from here? That's the big question. What does it take to evolve from a dysfunctional paradigm? And humanity, we have done this before, so it can be done. We know that. It takes, first and foremost, some pain. And in that sense, what we're experiencing right now can be very useful. It is a state of trauma in humans for our planet. We can use that as a stepping stone to evolve, and we must. The next step is wisdom. Most of us can benefit from spending less time on social media and mainstream news channels, which keep us in a loop of never-ending drama and glamour, and keeps us away from the deeper realizations, from the beauty of life, and from being able to produce a paradigm shift, because we're too preoccupied with which politician said what about who. Doesn't matter. Much more interesting and useful to us will be to study our most life-affirming philosophies, our treasured, unifying spirituality, and the wisdom of nature herself. And from that place, we need action. We can't think our way to solve the problems. But we do need to think before we act. Otherwise, we'll only get more of the same. This has been my focus for the last 13 years. Back then, we were 4 friends who co-founded Rainmaking together, which is a company factory. We have made more than a dozen of startups. We also launched our own accelerator, startup accelerator called Startup Bootcamp, where we have accelerated and invested in more than 800 startups. And we have worked with 80 of the Fortune 500 companies, so the biggest companies in the world. The focus has been around innovation and entrepreneurship. And we have definitely spread a lot of love on the way. And then those 2 words came to me again recently: pure love. And this time I knew to listen. And therefore I decided that it is time for a completely fresh start. A fresh start for a fresh decade. In my search for purer and purer expressions and dedication to what I now have come to understand is my life calling. So this is my journey with business and with love, and how they come together. Today, business rules the world. That's just a fact. So let us make business a love affair. Love for people, love for planet. Thank you.